You know, it seems like every opinion piece that you read about the manosphere or the red pill gets more and more ridiculous than the last. And this article you're about to read is no different. Are you ready? So here you see this article from BuzzFeed, gentlemen and ladies, if you're watching. It says people are sharing subtle signs that a man is red-pilled. Again! So here are the 18 red flags you need to look out for.
Enemy spotted.
A sign that a guy is red-pilled if he says, if we got married, you wouldn't have to work anymore, quote unquote. All right. Now, like I said before, there are a lot of opinion pieces on the manosphere and the red pill over the years, and each one of them seems to be more of propaganda and projection from women and men that like to pee sitting down. And this one will be more of the same. Now, don't get me wrong, there are people out there that have made the RP look ridiculous and look, extremely masculine. Your Andrew Tates of the world, clavicles, even Myron. These guys seem to have, their takes seem to lack nuance, and they seem to just bathe in high levels of testosterone and glaze each other all the time. Yes, I know.
Enemy spotted.
He's out of line, but he's right.
But these are 18. I think there's one bonus, maybe 19 signs to look for. So we're going to get this article. We're just going to jump right to it because there's a lot of them, and I want to try to break most of them down. Some of them are projections. Some of them do have a hint of truth, but again, it's bathed in propaganda. So before we get into the article here, if you haven't done so already, hit the like button, all right, because reality checks are free. And if you are new to the channel, hit that subscribe button and the notification bell. And if you want to further contribute to the channel, hit the join button down below to become a part of the Working Man Union. Hit the join button, the members only videos. Hype the video. I'm sure you all know how to click down below and hype the video, turn your points in, all right. And hit the Cash App $, Mr. Norman, because just like Umar Johnson,
Haters don't donate, donors don't hate.
Donors don't hate, all right? You know the saying, all right? And with that being said, let us get into the article. Let's scroll down here a little bit. It says here, we asked, there we go, make it a little bit bigger. There we go. We asked members of the BuzzFeed community to share subtle signs that a man is red-pilled. Here's what they said. In case you're unfamiliar with the term red-pilled, it's used to refer to men who are on the manosphere, internet spaces that promote male supremacy and traditional gender roles.
Enemy spotted.
Basically, men who are red pill believe that men are disadvantaged and that the oppression of women isn't real. This results in misogynistic ideology and behavior. Before we start reading these points, all right, men are disadvantaged. Now, are we oppressed? Essentially, are we oppressed? I mean, we've allowed ourselves to be oppressed, I believe. We're not truly oppressed. I believe that, because of the need to be maybe liked, the need to get, vagina and things like that, we have allowed ourselves to be oppressed. But make no mistake, we are men, and there are things that we could change if we really wanted to. However, the powers that be keep things the way they are, and this is men and women keep things on the status quo. So we can't just blame it all on men, in my opinion. But let's get to number one. A major red flag is if they don't consume art made by women. If they don't listen to any female musicians or read any female authors, it's a sign that they don't respect women generally.
Nope.
Okay. Well, again, this stuff is projections, all right? If there's a man there to just listen to all male everything, there's probably not a lot of nuance to his life. Is it possible? Yes. But this man, the man that they're referring to again, is probably a very, very small percentage of men. All right. Number two, a sign that a man is red pill if he complains that he'll never experience being in a relationship. Then he spews out BS like only 10% of women are attracted to 80% of men, or 75% of women have ridiculous standards and don't like nice guys anymore. Men honestly believe in the number policy because it's much easier to use logic than blame a woman rather than accept that a man, he is possibly just an a-hole. Okay. Well, again, this is a statistic that is true. Now, you can skew the number to the left or the right, but the fact of the matter is that there's a small number of women that there's a large amount of women that like a small amount of men. Now, you can put whatever number to that you want, but that rhetoric is true, okay? And because of society today, there are a lot of women that have standards that are in outer space, okay? You see it all the time on your Kendra G's, you see it on social media, you see it on TV all the time. Women are always reaching for the stars. They're always reaching for the stars but they're reaching for the stars from the garbage can. You see what I mean? It happens all the time. So we can't, to put all on women, I get it. As men, we have to improve as well. So again, there's the nuanced part right there, right? Us as men have to be at a certain where we can be maybe attractive to the opposite sex, okay? So we can't be losers ourselves. There's a nuance in that. But this statistic or this rhetoric it hasn't been disproven yet, right? Let's go to the next one. The moment any guy says the words alpha, beta, and or sigma is a red flag.
Yep.
Okay. Now, let us reverse this. We could say that any woman that uses boss babe, she uses independence, she uses misogyny, she uses, she declares herself a misandrist, she declares herself as liberal. These can be red flags too.
Yep.
So there we go. I signed that a guy's real pill if he says the phrase real man. Well, let me tell you what. There are plenty of women out there that use the phrase real man.
Ain't no
Yeah.
way. Ain't no fucking way.
Again, I say all the time, and you probably have heard this before. How many women are out there in the world, right? Just put in the comment section. What's the number of women that populate the earth? That is the number of versions of real men that there are in the world, because every woman has their version of real men, and they don't mind telling you that you are not a real man if you don't do X, Y, Z. So there's that. All right, let's scroll down here some more. Number 5. A sign is when men don't have a merely casual negative opinion of female celebrities, but they vehemently loathe celebrity women. Taylor Swift is my go-to mention. I've seen grown men have a toddler-like, here we go, the insults, hissy fits at the mere mention that I saw the Eras tour. And when I say I traveled to Europe on a girls trip for it, emotional combustion. They freak out, I guess, right? Okay. Excuse me, ladies. Men can have whatever opinion they want to have about male stars. You have about female stars and celebrities. It can be nuanced, it can be casual, it can be specific. Does it really matter? These people don't have any bearing on your life. And really, it sounds like that you just got mad because they said something about your favorite singer, Taylor Swift. So, yeah, whatever. 6, generally, a sign is when they have it's all women mentality in order to place blame on women. They rant about how they can't get a date, and it's always the woman's fault. Again, I don't know what kind of guy this person's met. Most men will not say it's all women's fault, because us as men, of course, we can improve ourselves, right? We're all works in progress, right? However, okay, we go back to one of the other points. Majority of women, small number of men. It's true. Now, men, you can get a date. All right, there's somebody out there for everybody rhetoric. You can luck up, right? And we're not going to place all the blame on women. If you're a mature guy, you understand it's not all the women's fault, right? There's enough blame to go around for men that can't get in on dates, men not leveling up, women having too high standards, no dating apps, blah, blah. You can put there's enough blame to go around why a man can't get a date or why a woman can't get a good man, all right? It's the whole freaking society, or the whole, way we do things is kind of effed up now when it comes to, dating and monogamous relationships. All right. Number 7, a sign is if a guy says, if we got married, you wouldn't have to work anymore. Well, here's the deal.
Yeah, bitch. Yeah, bitch.
women want to be taken care of, but I guess my sense they want it on their own terms. If I say if we got married, you had to work anymore, you would say, well, I want my independence and blah blah blah. But then we get into the marriage, you start working, you realize it's too freaking hard, and then you say, okay, well, I don't want to work anymore. So, do you want to not work anymore, or you just want to work long enough to get the investment on me and then stop?
Yeah, bitch. Yeah, bitch.
See, now you're trying to pull the wool over my eyes. Just let me take care of you, right? But no, you don't want that. You want your independence to a certain point. Then you want me to take over. But by then, I'm used to you doing your own thing. And see, that's part of the problem. But again, these are things that won't likely change because, I ain't woman hear me roar. Those kind of things, right? One indicator is if he talks about the future with you in the context of having children only. Well, this is something that this man should negotiate up front. And if you hear that, then it's time for you to just, okay, well, if this is what you want, you don't have to get upset. Just, you're a woman, you know how to freaking figure things out and say, okay, well, is this all he wants? And if that's all he wants, then you got to figure out if that's all you want or not. You don't have to blast the guy for it. But if he only wants children, he's not making that plain, then that's his fault too. Again, there's plenty of blame to go around, but this is a propaganda piece to go against the male space, right? Number 9, an indicator is that a man is RP if he believes agitate is any more than a piece of trash. It is a red flag when they say the way agitate treats women is understandable because that's just what happens when a guy gets rejected too many times. Well, we won't use agitate as an example because that is one of the extreme examples. But what I will say is that men can be jaded for good reason. The same way women get jaded when they said, oh, all men are dogs and, only all men do is cheat and, all men want is sex. I mean, those women aren't, you would say that's understandable for women to think like that, right? But when a guy like Andrew Tate comes up and he says stuff he says, he's misogynistic. But when a woman comes out and expresses her experiences and her truth in life, we're supposed to understand her. Sure, yes. Number 10, a sign is if they have a near constant victim or persecution complex, which often results in them blaming their own failures on others and using it to allege some type of giant conspiracy against men. There's not a conspiracy against men. Men are utilities in the world. That is a fact. Okay? Now, some men will experience love. The question is, how long will they experience it before the woman decides to turn her love towards someone else? Or turn her love off towards you but still use you for security and stability? That's the question. All right? The constant victim or persecution, no, I wouldn't say all that. But some men can't catch a break. And for those guys, well, they might feel that way. And again, that should be understandable, right? I mean, in life, things are messed up. But a lot of guys catch it worse than women because women oftentimes have a lot of safety nets, if you will, where we do not. Okay? Now, to blame your own failure on somebody else, no, unless you got truly done wrong, blaming somebody else is the easy way out. But again, some men, I think, could have a good argument that, maybe their life wasn't the best, and maybe it wasn't always of their own doing. Number 11, one sign is if they don't take no for an answer when they ask you out. The one way they'll do this is by offering an alternate date idea instead of just accepting that you're not interested. Well, this is probably where the PUA guys come in, the rejection thing and all that, and they keep coming back and back. If you're not a guy that's, selectable to women, this just creeps them out. And this is where you get comments like this from, where they don't take no for an answer. It usually teeters on, abuse territory and things like that, but whatever. This is a long one. Pause. A subtle sign is when dating is that they present themselves in terms of value because they've been told that's what they think women care about. I once dated a guy who dropped the fact that although he's living with his parents to care for them as they age, their home will be a great asset for his future spouse after they pass. The same guy described his work for me in terms of disposable income and expected expected me to get excited that I'd have access to money more a month if we were to get serious. It was an early sign because later we broke things off after he was weirdly quiet during a discussion of the show Adolescence, and then admitted that he agreed that men are persecuted by women who reject them. It was all there at the beginning, just subtle and disguised. I haven't watched Adolescence before, so I'm not going to pretend what that reference meant, but I will scroll back up here. They present themselves in the terms of value because they've been told what they think what women care about. Well, women do care about money. Okay, that's the fact. Now, she's saying that it's like an ick or something when we present things in value, but the one question that always puts value on things that women always ask, and that burns them up when we ask it to them, is what do you bring to the table?
Bitch, ain't no way. Ain't no fucking way.
This is a value-based question. And so this woman says when they present themselves in the term of value, but you're going to ask this guy what he brings to the table. Is that not putting a value on something? Just ask him. I don't know. 13. One indicator is if they ask a woman, what do you bring?
Bitch, ain't no way. Ain't no fucking way.
No explanation needed there. 14. One sign is when a man is very heavily into diet culture that emphasizes only protein and eating pure foods. There's nothing wrong with watching what you eat, but a fully balanced diet includes good fiber intake, vegetables, fruits, etc. Exclusively high protein diets are indicative of dabbing in the manosphere. Big red flag. Why can't this guy just like lifting weights or like his own diet that works for him and his body, right? So he's got to be dabbling in the manosphere because he likes high protein diets. I mean, you sound like a tree hugger. Fiber, vegetables, fruits. Let the man eat what he wants to eat. If it's working for him, who cares? 15. A red pill indicator is if they call women females instead of, women. Is female in the dictionary?
Yep.
See, they're trying to turn female into a derogatory term. It's not a derogatory term. I can call you a female, I can call you a woman. It both mean it means you have excess chromosomes. Does it not? Female, girl, woman, broad. I mean, some terms can be derogatory, but female isn't a derogatory term. You want to be called this is kind of, apples, oranges, right? I mean, they're both fruit, huh? 16. One sign is how they react when conversations of gender come up. I go to a large university in the Midwest. The university tends to be more liberal leaning. However, its location was in a red state. Makes it diverse mix of political views. This sounds like Austin, Texas, something like that. Midwest, a red state, but the university is liberal leaning. This is the University of Austin or some shit like that. Since I studied to be a teacher, woman, some of our classes involve learning how to teach a diverse set of students, whether it be immigrants, ELLs, or people with disabilities. Well, one thing that came up in multiple classes was gender and how to make sure your classroom is open and comfortable for any and all genders. I would always look around and see some of the male class races either narrow their eyes at the professor or disengage for the rest of the lesson, of course, because what are we talking about here? Immigrants and gender. These are two things that oftentimes a heterosexual man is not interested in making people comfortable for. And we all know what's going on with the immigrants in America, so I'm not going to get into that for the purpose of this video. And as far as the rainbow community is concerned, the gender, I'm not going to get into that for the purpose of this video either. But most of you men, if you're watching this, you got this far, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Most heterosexual men do not care about either one of those topics, like Anonymous 22 female, what I thought.
Yep.
Okay. 17. An indicator is if they make oddly timed and inappropriate statements about gender norms. Often this is in the form of small jokes or insinuations. When others do not agree, the man in question tends to get angry or frustrated. I would say not when you don't agree, but it's probably when you make some type of argument about the joke, okay? Because you already said inappropriate statements about gender norms. Again, this is what the males only space are eroding. We can make a joke about something like this. Probably nobody get offended. But anonymous is probably a female or somebody that's probably liberal leaning or soft-hearted. And making jokes like this, they will not agree when others don't agree. You mean when you don't agree? The man in question tends to get angry or frustrated because they're like, big deal, right? Most of the time, that's what's happening. 18. A red flag is if they get upset or annoyed at seeing a woman existing outside of an assumed gender role or work profession. A woman working in construction, STEM, automotive, and so on. A woman wearing more masculine clothing or a woman playing in a contact sport. That signals to me that he does not hold a lot or any respect for women. He sees them only to exist in one role. I can't speak for other people. I can speak for myself. I have no problem with women in these professions as long as they can do, and this might sound misogynist too, as long as they can do what the men can do, because some of these professions are male-led and predominantly male, right? So there is a standard whether you like it or not. And if you can keep up with that or even do better, then good for you without having to change the standard. If you can do what we can do without changing the standard to down to your level or whatever, however you want to call that, because most time they got to lower it down. I've been in the military 20 years. Standards were eroded to make them more attainable for women. And they're starting to do that. Well, they're doing that. And they're doing that in other professions and other roles. So if you can do this at a high level still, then good for you. I have no problem with any contact sport. You know what? If you're a woman and you identify as I'm not even going to go there about the contact sport thing. That's another story. But yeah, typically most men don't have a problem with it as long as you're up to the standard that a man can do it, because we're stronger, we're faster. I'm not going to say we're smarter, but physically we're more superior. So if you can do things at a level that a male would physically, then most men don't have a problem with that. So there's some guys that bathe in estrogen. They don't want to see you in the kitchen and blah, blah. Well, we already know if you're a mature man, that's not coming back, right? Unless she's like 45. And finally, a sign of the red pill men is if they assume a woman is less passionate or knowledgeable about her interests, or that she's into them for the wrong reasons. This is especially prevalent in nerd-related subcultures like gaming. Otherwise, seemingly nice guys have completely flipped on me when they learn that I'm a gamer because they think I'm inherently worse at the hobby or using it to get guys. No, dude, I've been playing games since I was a kid, just like you. You're just misogynistic. Anonymous 20 female.
Yep.
Now, here's the problem with this right here. If you've been on YouTube any length of time, you've been, in the gaming world, a lot of these women are using these subcultures to either to get guys or to benefit off of them, not necessarily because they love that genre, like gaming, like firearms, like things like that. They know that men like it, and they know if they can just scantily clad, they can make money off of in a male-dominated space. They don't do it because they love it. And the game wrong. That's not all, but you can tell which ones are and ones aren't most of the time. All right, now there are women out there that love the same thing that you like. They like football. They like video games. They like watching trash TV, and if that's cool, then great. But again, stereotypes exist for a reason. There are women like this, so you can't discount it. That's what you're trying to do. You're trying to discount it. You're saying that every woman that gets into this stuff just does it because they like it. That's not true, and you have to recognize that. Some of these guys are misogynistic. They have seen it before, and so yeah, they paint a broad brush just like you would. Okay? I'm not getting that either. But there's a reason why there's some women out there that's saying, well, you're a man, you can't do that, right? And some of y'all might be getting where I'm going with that. Okay, there are some groups out here that think they can do what a woman can do in a lot of ways, in almost every way, and they can't. But that's another story. So you see it, right? 19 reasons. 19. The subtle signs that a man is RP. And they even got a little block here where you can add more. So I guess they're going to add more to the list soon, huh? So if you're a woman and you're watching this, you can put some more stuff down there, right? Anyway, BuzzFeed. Sharing the subtle signs of the man is RP by this piecing down guy here, Anaja Blazel Dutz. Posted 17 January 26. I'm sorry. Y'all see it, right? Now more left to talk about there. And with that being said, thank you for attending another episode of the Working Man Podcast. I am your host, Nicholas J. Fury. Let me know what you think about this ridiculous article. Is there a little bit of truth to it? Yes. But again, it's based in propaganda, if you ask me. Let me know what you think about it down in the comment section. Please hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and the notification bell, and be out of the door. And I will see you on the next video.